Checking out the spreads. We got Bears at Indianapolis. Colts laying 1 at home. 36%. No one seems interested in the Bears. They've got a really good defense, though. They practically won them the game week 1. And I just don't trust Anthony Richardson and the Colts. They're pretty banged up on defense, and he's just not a good passer. So I just see this as a spot for the Bears. Just the one thing that concerns me is I think this is the Bears' first road game, and then Indy's back at home. They played well week 1 at home, so I don't know if Richardson's going to be one of those QBs who just shows up when he's playing at home, but I've got a feeling the Bears do well. Just looking at 36%, not that many people on them. I think they're worth a look. And then we've got the Bucks laying 6 to the Broncos. There's no way I'm taking the Broncos. They're a bottom feeder, and there's no way I'm laying 6. Just don't like laying that many points. Would look towards Bucks money line. Love the Titans this week. You could see it. Publix all over Green Bay, 58%. And this line's moved up. This has been going between 2.5, 3. I would love 2.5. I would buy this down to 2.5. I wouldn't lay 3. I would do money line or lay 2.5. But Titans drafted Malik Willis. He's the starter for Green Bay this week, most likely. Loves a game-time decision, but I don't think he's going to play. They've got a big divisional matchup, I think, with Minnesota next week, so I think he's just focused on that. They want him healthy for that game. This is an out-of-conference game for them. AFC versus NFC, this game doesn't matter at all. For Green Bay, they can just throw it away, so I expect them to keep Love healthy, and I don't think Willis can replicate what he did last week. The film's out on him. Tennessee knows him pretty well. They drafted him. So there's still a bunch of Tennessee players that played with him. But the biggest thing is the film's out on them, and he's had one big week. It's kind of like a surprise. Like, who is this guy? How is he going to play? And now that the film's out, it's a lot easier to game plan for a player like him now that the film's out there on him. And it's like just Publix all over Green Bay. It's just a little too fishy for me. And Tennessee easily could have won their first 2 games. Will Levis threw it away. And, of course, that's the concern with taking Tennessee. Will Levis have one of those just horrible turnovers? But I even if he does, I think Tennessee wins. I think they'll be fine. An 0-2 team, their backs against the wall. Green Bay's already looking ahead to next week. Tennessee needs this win. And they're at home. Publix all over Green Bay. Let's go with Tennessee, one of my picks of the week. And then we've got Houston up against the Vikings, 2 teams that have been red hot. And I've took the Vikings week 1, had a lean towards them week 2. But this line has just gotten way too low. Way too low. Houston was a playoff team last year. CJ Stroud's one of the best QBs. They are loaded in talent. And then Minnesota, I like Sam Darnold. I like him a lot. Drafts him in every fantasy league. But at the end of the day, he's not CJ Stroud. Minnesota has a really big home field advantage, one of the best home fields in the league. So that definitely helps them. They've got a really good defense, a good coach. And the consensus is evenly split, so there's no hint there. I always like using the consensus for a hint of who to pick. I'm going to be on the sidelines for this one, but I would have leaned towards Minnesota at plus 3.5, but given that it's this low, I think we're getting Houston decently cheap. So we'll lean Houston given the current line price at 1.5, but I'm going to be on the sidelines for that one. Chargers against Pittsburgh. This is a game where I just feel like Pittsburgh pulls it out. Chargers are dealing with a pretty bad injury for Herbert. They played the Panthers last week, smacked them as expected. They stayed on the East Coast, so light travel this week. Just have a hunch Pittsburgh does well. Really no analytical thought behind it, just hunch towards Pittsburgh, but I'll probably be on the sidelines for this one. If it was still at 2, if Pittsburgh was only laying 2, I would like Chargers in a teaser, taking that through 3, 6, 7, and up to 8. But now that it's up to 3, I'm not taking the Chargers, and I'm not laying 3 with Pittsburgh. Would only look towards money line with Pittsburgh or buying more points with the Chargers. I think it's going to be a very low-scoring game. It's one of the lowest totals on the board. And then we've got the Giants. No one's interested in them as expected, and I'm not either. I can't back a bottom feeder. One of my number one rules is betting. Avoid the bottom feeders, and Giants fit that category. Browns are dysfunctional. I don't trust them laying 6.5. Could the Browns smoke them? Possibly, but everyone's all over the Browns, and that just it gives me pause. I think Browns are going to be on everyone's parlay, money line, and or just in teasers, taking them down from 6.5. So I'm going to be on the sidelines for this game. Saints have been money this year. They've been red hot, hottest team in the league. Philly's been okay, blew the game last week, and now no one seems interested in them, which is a little fishy to me. I would only look towards Philly in this game, just 30%. No one wants Philly, and this was a playoff team last year. They do have one of the MVP favorites in Jalen Hurts. A.J. Brown will be out for this game. I would only look towards Philly, but I would want to get at least 3 with them. Really, at least 3.5. But Saints have been red hot. Can they keep it up? Maybe. I'm gonna wait and see on this one, but just 30% on Philly, just seems way too low for a playoff team. And then we've got the Panthers visiting the Raiders, battle of bottom feeders. Not much to say with this one. No way I'm putting my money on the Panthers, and I'm not laying 6 with the Raiders, especially with the quarterback change. Who knows what Andy Dalton can do? I actually expect the team to step up this week. Skylar Thompson, I'm not putting my money on him. No one seems interested in him either. Seahawks, I just don't like betting games with these unknown quarterbacks, so would only look towards Seattle money line, but probably won't get to the window with that. Just too many games on the board, too many better places to put my money. This is one where I think the public is going to be right on with Baltimore, laying one on the road. Dallas got smoked last week, and Ravens start 0-2. Do they really start 0-3? I don't know about that. I think they come out hot, and they come out a little pissed off from last week, losing at the last minute. This is on my short list. I don't know if I'm definitely going to bet it, but would lean towards the Ravens, even though they've got 57% of the bets on them. And then we've got Detroit laying 3 to the Cardinals. It seems a little short for Detroit, only laying 3. I know they lost last week, but they outgained Tampa by 200 yards. I like Kyler Murray, and I lean towards the Cardinals this week at +3, but I think I should be getting a little bit more than just 3. I would want 3.5 at least. Seems short for Detroit, though, but something tells me Arizona. Just have a hunch. And I could say the same thing about the Rams, too. Niners laying 6.5 on the road to the Rams. McVay just plays the 49ers tough. McVay worked under Shanahan as a coach, and he just seems to have his number. So if you go look at their head-to-head record, McVay just always does well against him. And then even though he's missing all these players, he's got time to prepare now, 2 weeks in. So I think Rams got absolutely humiliated last week. I expect them to show up and play this week. Chiefs laying 3 on the road to the Falcons. Like the Falcons here, only 38% of the bets on them. So they're a home dog with no one interested in them. Chiefs just don't seem to blow people out. They slow the pace down and just don't score nearly as much as they used to, and still missing Hollywood Brown. I think this one's close. Like the Falcons in this one, would want +3.5. Would buy that up. But yeah, I think Chiefs money line is a trap this week. I wouldn't be surprised if the Falcons win straight up. And same could be said about the next game. The Jaguars getting 5 on the road, team that started 0-2. They beat the Bills last year, so they know this team. I think they match up well with them, and no one's interested in them. That's kind of the cue for me. 34%, an 0-2 team. Beat them last year. Jags are my top pick of the week. Bengals laying 7.5 to the Commanders, not laying 7.5. Don't like laying that many points and not putting my money on a bottom feeder. Bengals money line. I think they definitely win. An 0-2 team, expected playoff team. They pull out a win here. Do they win by more than 7.5? I have no idea, but they definitely win. So I'm gonna have Bengals money line in everything. So to recap, a lean towards the Bears. No one's on them. Tampa Bay money line. Tennessee money line or -2.5. Stay away. Stay away with a lean towards Pittsburgh. Stay away. Stay away. Stay away. Stay away. Lean towards Baltimore, like the Cardinals. Lean towards the Rams, like the Falcons. Love the Jaguars, my pick of the week, and love the Bengals money line.